See if he pops up. I'll take those 2 headshots.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
Are you in the market for a rifle? Do you want an American-made rifle from a modern-day awesome uncle who built his company from the ground up? Are you looking for a rifle that does a lot of things well, like shoot smooth and have a consistent recoil impulse with an amazing trigger, nice internals, and is surefire suppressor ready? Little asterisks in there though.
Fuck.
Do you absolutely hate government profiles with a passion and want a smart, tapered profile instead? And do you want a hard-use rifle with a cold hammer forged chrome-lined barrel that shoots 1 MOA? Or maybe a rifle that matches your kitty? Well, if that's the case, friends, then I have for you the Geissele Super Duty. This one, of course, being the 14.5. Let's get all the boring stuff out of the way. The fully loaded weight as configured in front of you, with a fully loaded magazine with 77 grain OTM, is 11 pounds, 7.2 ounces. Your overall length fully extended is 35 inches. Your overall collapsed is 32 inches. The barrel length with the flash hider. Young lady, how am I supposed to show that if you're in the picture? Oh, they're gonna love that. The barrel length with the pinned and welded flash hider is 16.25 inches or 16.25 inches. I know this comes up a lot for some reason, but you're definitely over 16 inches. So 16 inches is the red mark on here, probably for a reason. So buy with confidence, and for those wondering, a surefire flash hider is legal when pinned and welded on a 14.5 inch barrel. I wouldn't go shorter though. Speaking about the barrel, again, it's a 14.5 mid-length gas system, .076 gas port size, cold hammer forged, chrome lined with a 1-in-7 twist, a Geissele profile, and this sample here has a black oxide external finish. Boo! It's pin and welded with a nano-coated Surefire flash hider and covered with a Geissele Mark 16 rail. And for those that don't know, yes, the Surefire flash hider does fit a Surefire RC2 or any of the Surefire RC2 family suppressors, so the Mini 2 or the Micro if you can find one. But I plan to put a Mini 2 on this one. The RC2 is just fine for 14.5s, but I want a Mini 2 on this one because of all the extra weight up front. I got a thinner profile barrel that's lighter and faster on its feet versus a government profile, and I put more shit on the end of it. I'm not going to field strip this one because I did it in the 11.5 video and I don't want to drag it out. I'm also pressed for time, so forgive me. Normally I'd show you the bolt and bolt carrier. It's the reliability enhanced bolt carrier group, which I really like and I'm a big advocate for. They're very well engineered. They use quality machining and metallurgical composition and a lot of good stuff. They're also very gas efficient, and I'm very happy with the way Geissele does those reliability enhanced bolt carrier groups. Remarkably fast to clean, just perfect. If you're going to be running suppressed and you don't have an LMT, the LMT bolt carrier group or the reliability enhanced bolt carrier group are the two that I recommend. So now that I've made editing easier on myself, we're going to dive right into what it's good at and what it's bad at. There is one middle ground which we are going to talk about, but let's get to it. What it's good at: it's a very smooth and fast shooter. Just a remarkably pleasant gun to shoot. You don't need a war comp or a muzzle brake on this. Honestly, the 4-prong and the flash hider are my two favorite muzzle devices from Surefire, and it just has a very nice recoil impulse and the muzzle really doesn't go anywhere. I really enjoy shooting this thing, and I've had it configured multiple ways. I'm going to change the optic on it. Not that the VCOG's bad, but the precision capability that this 14.5 is capable of, just like my URGI, I kind of want a really fine aiming point, and the VCOG is a little too chunky. But when I ran it with the P4XI, it was very light, very fast, and it's just a great gun to run. I genuinely enjoy shooting this thing all day. Next good thing is the Geissele SSAE-X trigger, or what I crudely call the sex trigger, because the SSAE-X is amazing. Very light and crisp like a regular SSAE, but the lightning bow is just phenomenal. This is an excellent trigger, excellent geometry, very fast and easy to get on, and make clean, precise shots with too. It's just the best of both worlds. I know a lot of guys think a 2-stage trigger can't be fast. I don't know how with all the years of Geissele's being out there, but just a remarkably excellent trigger. The SSA-X and the SSAE-X are the best triggers that Geissele offer as far as I'm concerned for your AR-15s, and I'm more of an SSA guy, honestly. I like it a little bit heavier. I'm a little concerned with reliability with certain primers and conditions with a lighter power hammer spring. I like a full power hammer spring, which is what the SSA has. But good news, there's the SSA-X as well. So I'll be putting those in my other rifles. But I love this trigger so much so that anytime I see one or can shoot one, I get excited. That's how much I love this trigger. Also, the internals of the SSAE-X and SSA-X are specially coated with the nano weapon coating. And the centerpiece of the trigger is whatever that polished material is, so it interfaces really well. Very crisp and clean trigger. Very happy with it.
Okay.
Next thing on what it's good at, the gas port is perfectly sized and it shoots smooth suppressed. I lost my suppressed shooting footage with this rifle, and I'm sorry. I'll do it again in the future. You can choose to believe me or not, but the gas port size is .076, which is excellent, and it's just well gassed, and you can feel it the second you shoot it. Whatever ammo you put in this, I only run 5.56, I don't run 2.23, but 55 grain 5.56, 62 special duty, which is like a Mark III 18, or the 62 grain OTM stuff, or the 75 grain tap, which this thing really loves for some reason, or 77 grain. Shoots equally smooth with whatever you throw in it, which is excellent. And when you run it suppressed, there's really not that much of a difference, which is great. So remarkably smooth and gas efficient. Transitioning from that point, we talked about the ammunition. This thing's very accurate. I want to stress that this is a newer barrel for me. I haven't quite hit a satisfactory round count to be doing a review as far as I'm concerned, especially for accuracy. We're sitting at about 1,300 rounds for this rifle, or I think at 13 or 1,500 rounds. I do not shoot it as much as I shoot my URGI, and I can't take every rifle I have to the range every time. But every single time I've shot this rifle, it's so accurate and reliably accurate to the point where I shoot smiley faces and it drives me nuts, which is also why I want to change the optic out. But I've shot these smiley faces on multiple occasions, and either the regular smiley face or the upside down smiley face, and they're just over 1 inch just to piss me off. But when I use Hornady Tap or the higher quality 77 grain OTM, right now it's got cellular and below in there, and cellular and below is weird. Like sometimes it shoots really tight and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if that's lot dependent or what, but I usually have good luck with cellular and below stuff. I've been shooting thousands of rounds of it for years, but I feel like the charge is not quite there. It's a little softer or something. Something's like slightly off with it and I can't put my finger on it. It still produces like 1 to 1 1/4. But when I put Hornady Tap in this thing, or Black Hills, or whatever it is, super tight groups. I even got really, it's hard to see in this footage, but I got super tight groups with a 1 to 4 P4XI and 77 grain TMK at 100 yards. And this is a facility in Georgia that I was able to go to, but it shot really tight and really well and zeroed very quickly. This thing loves the expensive performance ammunitions. If you're putting 77 grain Black Hills in it, 75 grain Hornady Tap, or a really good Mark II 62 clone, then you're off to the races. Reliable. I've had no issues with it, no parts breakages, but it's new, so I don't know. I also shoot in wet, sandy littoral regions, so this gun's been wet, it's been sandy, and every combination of wet and sandy that there is. So I don't torture test my rifles, I don't drag them on the ground, but just shooting them in the prone position around here, there's sand random places, and it's just a good test of the weapon system and how it performs. Another good thing, the reliability enhanced bolt carrier group, which I talked about ad nauseum before. Very easy to clean, very well made, very gas efficient. My favorite.
My favorite.
What I really like about the Super Duty line too is Mr. Bill decided to run what would make the rifle shoot the best, not what Joe Bob is going to do to it. So I don't shoot steel case ammunition. Steel case ammunition will never go in this gun. It comes with the Super 42 H2 from the factory, which is exactly what I think the Geissele URGI and this rifle need to run smoothly and reliably with the 330 4 o'clock ejection pattern, whether it's suppressed or unsuppressed, which this gun absolutely does. So I'm very happy it came with the Super 42 H2 from the factory, and I think it greatly contributes to how smooth it shoots. I really do like the controls, how they put the top tier stuff in here. They didn't just say buy my rifle and put garbage on it. It comes with a SOP mod from the factory. It comes with the nice SOP mod. I don't care for the grip for sure, so I replaced it with a BCM, and I usually run a CAG up here. I don't run a vertical foregrip, but I have 2 switches up here for the light and the laser, so my hand's got to be in a different position and able to move and still maintain that support, so that's what facilitates that. I much prefer the CAGs though.
Jim?
No thanks, I'm good.
That's what she said.
But overall, very nice trims, the safety, very easy to use. The trigger, of course, all the checkered parts, the airborne charging handle instead of the big one, which I think is a very smart decision. Unless you have giant catcher's mitts for hands, I really prefer the airborne charging handle. I think it's exactly the size it needs to be. It doesn't get hung up on your gear and it stays very accessible when you do need it. And the last thing in the good category, I like the receiver cut, and it's a small attention to detail that they also put throughout the rifle. Like not coating the extractor. These are captive. There's a detent in here, which is what that tiny hole is. So when you do finally break these loose, good luck. When you take these out, they're captive. So they'll pull out and stop. It's very well made. And you have the receiver cut, so you don't have to worry about how it indexes. Very nice touches, and Geissele's known for that, and I really do appreciate that they do those things. And it's something that gets overlooked, and yes, it contributes to the price, but I'd rather have those things than not, especially if I'm tearing the rifle down to service it completely and I have the black oxide finish. Boo! So I have to oil the barrel. All right, I don't do middle grounds that often, but we're at the middle ground. The one middle ground point I have is price. Yes, they're getting spendy, and I've watched this rifle go up multiple price brackets in the few years they've been produced. By 11.5, admittedly, I got the first year they were available on Black Friday. I'm pretty sure Geissele was trying to get a bunch out there, and it's great. It's a great upper, and for the price that I put that gun together, can't beat it. This rifle I bought complete, and it was very spendy at the time. But I've watched these go from 16 to 18 to 2 grand. I think they fluctuate between 2 and 22, and based on what you put on it, what options, all that other stuff, like as far as color and so on and so forth. But what I will say about the price is once you get this rifle, you take it out of the box and you outfit it. You're not changing hardly anything. All I changed was the grip, and then I added stuff to it. You're not changing the safety. You're not changing the buttstock. You're not changing the trigger for sure. You're not changing the charging handle. You get nice premium checkering on your magazine release and takedown pins. You get a really nice trigger guard that gives you more of a circle than a straight line, and you're not really going to change much. You're damn sure not changing the reliability enhanced bolt carrier group. So effectively you're buying a gun that's ready to go. And even the muzzle device, I keep these because I run Surefire suppressors. I know people have beef with Surefire for absolutely no reason at all, but this gun's good to go for me as it comes out of the box. Geissele's had to change the muzzle device short term, which we'll talk about in the closer, but functionally you buy this gun, you take it out of the box, you outfit it, and you're off to the races. So it's not a gun that you buy and then you change a bunch of parts on, you change the rail and all that other stuff. And when you do the math, you're gonna be more expensive buying a rifle at say $1,000 and outfitting it just like this, or doing a URGI clone or something like that where you're not actually using the URGI parts. You're trying to build the Geissele Super Duty, or you're trying to build the URGI we have at home, something like that. You're gonna end up piecemealing it together. Sure, you might be able to do it with sales, but ultimately this rifle is set. You buy it, you load it, you outfit it, you run it. That's how it works. So I know you guys will get sticker shock, but when you look at what you get and don't have to change, that kind of equals out the price for me. And they've gotten rid of the black oxide finish, which is my biggest hit. So you're really getting an excellent rifle for the price. And that's not me making excuses for Geissele, that's just an objective, regular guy assessment. Some of you are still gonna say too expensive for me, and I get it. I'm not gonna tell you how to spend your money, or I'm not gonna say what you need to do with your budget. All right, we got here what it's bad at. Mine particularly, and a whole bunch of them, have the black oxide finish. Boo! That was a really bad call, Mr. Bill. Not very happy with it. I understand why you did it, and pressure from the internet to look nice is very real. So I get why, but for where I live down in Florida, not ideal. So luckily they've corrected that course already, and it's no longer an issue. Also, something they course corrected that's no longer an issue is the QD segments did not have any sort of reinforcement. It's the same material as the rail, and over time those can get torn up. I haven't broken any personally, but it's something that can happen. They've already changed how they do that by reinforcing that section. So it's a knock on my particular iteration and a lot of other people's, but now the new rifles have a reinforcement there. So it does suck that they do all these incremental changes. It's nice because they're evolving and changing the design and making things better, but it does get frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
That they haven't covered those bases initially. I'm not going to hit them too hard because a lot of companies don't do that. So I'm happy to see that they're doing it moving forward. But now that they've done it, I'm looking at my rifle like, man, I wish mine was like that. Next on what it's bad at, I kind of had to hit it on this, but some people don't care, some people do. The people that don't care are the people that actually use the rifles a lot and know that it's this way, but the receiver fit for the price bracket. Since the price is creeping up, there's a little bit of play in the upper and lower, and it's definitely within government spec and tolerances, but I know when you start paying $2,000 for something, you want absolutely no upper and lower receiver play. But if you look at the top three, HK Knights and LMT, only two of them have zero receiver play. The HK has zero, the LMT can be dialed into zero with those tabs, and the Knights, I'll be honest, I've seldom used a Knights that didn't have worse upper receiver and lower receiver fit than this gun does. So definitely a subjective thing, but it is something to notice, and you will notice it the second you start putting a bunch of weight on top. When you're messing with the rifle by itself, you don't really feel it, but when you put an optic on it and you load down the upper, then whatever slop there is going to make itself wildly apparent. The cardboard box it came in is also a negative. I think Mr. Bill listens to me, because after I hit the fact that this came in a cardboard box, on the website some Geissele rifle bags slid in there in the accessories portion. I don't know if any of the new rifles are shipping in those bags, but it's definitely a step forward versus that trash tier cardboard box it came in. And I damn sure don't need a Geissele chamber flag like I've said before, or a Geissele lock or any of that other stuff. I'd rather have just the rifle and what absolutely needs to come with it in a nice range bag, but here we are. Another negative is the stock pistol grip, but I think they changed them again. I think they continue to make updates and innovations, but the stock pistol grip, I don't know a single soul that likes that. The texturing was great, but the angle is just violent, just a horrible swoop to the rear. Not a fun time. And lastly, there's no iron sights with this gun. For the price that they're charging, I'm pretty sure they can throw some iron sights in here. I know a lot of guys don't use irons anymore, so Geissele's just taking the fastest road forward, but I don't like that you can't shoot this gun out of the box. You either have to have irons, buy irons, or have your optics already ready for it, and it prevented me from shooting this rifle for a very long time. Just something to think about. I still think irons and rifle marksmanship is important, but I also understand completely that irons are a big limitation for a lot of people, so I don't want people to think that you need to have irons or it's this massive showstopper for me. It's not, obviously, but I do think they should be included. Most people won't agree with me on that, and I understand. All right, closing it out. At the end of the day, this is my go-to company right now for direct impingement rifles. There's a lot of good companies out there, and I'm not saying they're bad because I prefer Geissele, but Geissele hits on so many cylinders for me that it's hard for me to justify buying other stuff. I still like and appreciate other things like Daniel Defense, or I know Criterion barrels are excellent. I know Radian and ADM both use Criterion barrels. There's a lot of solid AR-15s out there, all right? But Geissele is my go-to right now because of all the things that they do and how it fits me and how I can just outfit this rifle any which way I feel like, take it to the range, and whether it had the P4XI on top of it or the Trijicon 1-6 VCOG, I got amazing results. Whether it's completely naked up front or just the D-ball with a floppy wire, or when I finally got the OKW on it with the suppressor, without the suppressor, this gun's a phenomenal gun to shoot. I enjoy shooting it all day long. And it being so well gassed, just such a remarkably smooth recoil impulse. And with the reliability enhanced bolt carrier group, it cleans up so fast. One of my biggest hits on DIs, especially shooting suppressed, is how dirty they get. And this thing cleans up just so fast. It's not to say that this gun's perfect, nor will I ever say that. I know Geissele's had some hiccups, but they've always taken care of me personally, and I've always had good experiences with them. I've not had a quality control issue with Geissele. I think I had one buffer tube I bought from them because it was Black Friday and it had a scratch on it, but it's a buffer tube. I've always had good experiences with Geissele though, and that's always my takeaway. Whether I call them and ask them questions, whether I'm running their products, all my rifles have Geissele rails and Geissele triggers almost. They're my go-to brand for a lot of stuff. It's been very reliable with getting 1 1/4 to 1 MOA groups. I think I can take it under 1 MOA with some Black Hills and a T6XI. And the trigger is absolutely phenomenal. Whether you're running it up close or running it at distance, it's just the absolute best trigger to have and perfect for whatever you're trying to do. The finish is good because it matches my cats, as you can tell, because they won't stay out of the frame and they're starting to fight. What I've noticed with this rifle specifically, and it might just be my comfort on the Mark 16 rail and my URGI being my fighting rifle, but could be the overall size and balance or whatever it is, I'm not sure. But I don't have to think about using this rifle. I load it and I run it. That's it. I don't have to say, whoa, with this one, I gotta make sure I'm slower on the trigger, or this rifle doesn't have the best recoil impulse or anything. No, I just pick it up, load it, and go to work. Whether that's precision work or speed or whatever, this rifle supports whatever I'm trying to do that day. It just comes naturally and effortlessly. If you haven't been able to tell already, I really love this rifle overall, and there's really not too many hits I have on it. It's always going to get a high grade for me, and so long as they continue to produce rifles like this and not drop out on quality or reliability or any of those things or cut corners, this is going to be a staple in my recommendations and in my safe. So I really love this thing and what Geissele's doing. Definitely a company worth your time, money, and support. And Mr. Bill is genuinely a nice guy, and he takes care of his workers as much as he takes care of his customers. Can't ask much more than that. As always, thanks for watching. Take care out there.